Okay, let's talk about this phrase, racial hygiene. It immediately brings up some, well, really dark historical context, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Truly dangerous ideas about trying to perfect humanity.
And that's the jarring part. An opinion piece in Al Jazeera, which is our focus for this deep dive, talks about how similar ideas, maybe repackaged, are sort of bubbling up again in America.
Exactly. It's looking at these contemporary discussions about improving humanity, using that phrase, but maybe with different motivations or justifications than the historical ones.
The article points fingers, too. Or at least it names names. People like Elon Musk come up.
Right. And Peter Thiel with his whole long-termism philosophy.
And even interestingly, former Surgeon General Vivek Murthy is mentioned in this context, though perhaps from a different angle.
Yeah, the article weaves together quite a few threads.
So our mission here is really to unpack what the Al Jazeera piece is saying. We want to get into the nuances, the different viewpoints it presents about human improvement today, and importantly, the concerns it raises.
Sounds good. It's a complex picture the article paints.
Definitely. So where does the article start? With this idea that talk about human improvement is gaining traction.
Yeah, it observes that these conversations seem to be getting louder, more mainstream perhaps, and it positions Elon Musk as a pretty central figure here, someone who talks a lot publicly about humanity's future.
Right. His focus on civilization, progress, survival,
Right.
It's all very big picture.
Very big picture. And then, as you mentioned, the article links this to Peter Thiel and long-termism.
Can you remind us what long-termism is about, basically?
Yeah. So, as the article presents it, it's this idea that we should be making decisions today based on their impact on the very long-term future, like thousands or millions of years from now.
Okay. And the connection to improvement is?
Well, if you're focused on ensuring humanity thrives for millennia, the article suggests it kind of logically leads to thinking about how society, or even humans themselves, might need to adapt or, well, improve. It opens that door.
Interesting. And then there's Vivek Murthy. How does he fit in, according to the article? His focus is public health, right?
Exactly. The piece is careful there. It says his work is about public health, well-being, tackling loneliness, things like that. But it suggests that this focus on the conditions for human flourishing.
Like societal factors.
Right. That this could be seen as related to the broader theme of improving the human condition, even if it's not about, say, genetic engineering or something. It's about creating a better environment for humans.
So it's a spectrum of ideas, really, from grand tech-driven visions to public health infrastructure, all sort of under this umbrella of a better future.
That seems to be the picture the article's painting, yeah. Different approaches, different levels of directness about improvement.
Okay, but the article doesn't just lay out these ideas neutrally. It gets into some real controversies, particularly around Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Ah, yes. That's a major point. It dives into his statements connecting vaccines and autism.
Which have been widely debunked, right?
Overwhelmingly. The article emphasizes that. It points to the massive scientific consensus that refutes any such link. It uses this as an example of, well, how these discussions can get tangled up with misinformation.
And the impact isn't just about scientific accuracy, is it? The piece mentions concerns about ableism.
Very much so. It highlights the criticism, specifically citing April Baskin from the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network.
What was her point?
That Kennedy Jr.'s rhetoric is harmful, that it stigmatizes autistic people. It brings up this really crucial ethical dimension, the language we use and its real-world consequences for vulnerable groups.
So the Al Jazeera piece seems worried that some proponents of improvement might be, maybe unintentionally, sidelining science or the needs of certain populations.
That's definitely a strong undercurrent, a concern that focusing too much on some abstract, ideal future human could lead to devaluing people in the present, especially those with disabilities or who don't fit a certain mold.
Okay, let's pivot back to Elon Musk for a second. How does the article portray his views specifically?
It paints him as very focused on the grand scale, civilization's trajectory,
Yeah.
long-term survival.
And his concerns about birth rates fit into that.
Yes. The article mentions that as part of his rationale, ensuring humanity continues, basically. It's about survival and progress on a species level over vast timescales.
Does the article suggest his vision involves things like selective breeding or eugenics?
Not explicitly, no.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's presented, his focus seems more on ensuring humanity as a whole survives and advances, maybe through technology, expanding beyond Earth, enhancing collective intelligence. It's framed more broadly than, say, targeted genetic improvement of individuals.
So a distinction is made there.
It seems so, yeah. The article differentiates his large-scale, species-level concerns from more potentially problematic ideas about refining the population, though it's all part of this broader improvement theme it's exploring.
Got it. Now, the article also touches on the political side, with Kennedy Jr. wanting to lead some kind of federal task force.
Yeah, on vaccine safety and scientific integrity. The article frames this as reflecting a deep skepticism toward established public health bodies.
It's like the CDC and NIH.
Exactly. The proposal, as described, involves putting more oversight on those agencies, suggesting a lack of trust in current practices.
And again, the article makes sure to remind the reader of his past debunked claims about vaccines and autism.
Right, that context is presented as crucial for understanding the potential implications if you were to gain influence over public health policy. It really underscores the tension between, individual skepticism and scientific consensus.
Okay, so moving towards the underlying ideas. The article revisits long-termism and connects it to other movements.
Yes, it links it to things like transhumanism, the idea of using technology to overcome human limitations, and also effective altruism.
How does effective altruism fit in?
Well, effective altruism often uses reason and evidence to figure out how to do the most good, and sometimes that includes taking a very long-term perspective. So there's an overlap in thinking, the article suggests.
And this is where the piece brings in that historical warning again, right? About racial hygiene.
Precisely. It uses that term as a stark reminder. It cautions that even if these modern movements start with good intentions like securing humanity's future, they could, if taken to extremes or pursued carelessly, echo those dangerous historical paths.
So the potential for discrimination for eugenicist thinking, even if unintentional, is flagged as a serious risk.
Absolutely. That historical shadow is presented as something we need to be incredibly wary of. The article stresses the need for strong ethical guardrails in any discussion about shaping humanity's future.
But it's not saying the whole idea of progress is bad, is it?
No, not at all. It seems to acknowledge the genuine desire for progress that often motivates these discussions, solving big problems, improving lives, ensuring survival. It's more of a call for caution.
A balancing act.
Exactly. It recognizes the drive for a better future, but urges extreme care about how we pursue it, warning against ideologies that might end up being exclusionary or harmful.
So wrapping up our look at this Al Jazeera piece, the main takeaway seems to be this complex tension. We have this push for progress, for improving the human condition,
Colliding with these significant risks. Risks of ignoring science, of marginalizing people, of maybe even echoing really harmful historical ideologies if we're not careful.
And it's clear from the article that there isn't one single view here. It's a whole range of perspectives, some quite controversial.
Definitely. It's a snapshot of a really complicated, ongoing conversation with a lot of different voices and potential pitfalls.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty big question to ponder. Given everything the article touches on, this drive for progress versus the need for ethics and inclusivity, science versus skepticism, long-term dreams versus immediate realities, how should we, as a society, navigate this?
Yeah, what's the right balance?
Yeah.
And maybe more importantly, what are the specific dangers we need to keep front and center as these kinds of discussions inevitably continue? Something to really think about.